Hey guys, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Kanoda Gatwa, and I am super excited that you are here again. Thank you so much for all of you who are following us, who are commenting and sending suggestions to us. We really appreciate. Last week we were talking about men's mental health. Are men appreciated enough? Are men given an opportunity, a safe space to express themselves? And I'm super excited for the comments that I've been reading and the DMs that have been coming through. And I am really encouraged to continue having these conversations. And in line with that, today I want to talk about toxic masculinity, the notion that some people have when it comes to the idea of manliness. Toxic masculinity involves cultural pressures for men to behave in a certain way, and this is likely to affect all men and boys in some fashion. This idea that men need to act tough and avoid showing all emotion can be harmful to their mental health and have serious consequences for the society, which is how it became known as toxic masculinity. But let us get deep and get the definition of toxic masculinity for someone who is hearing these words for the first time. What is toxic masculinity? And toxic masculinity is not just about behaving like a man. Instead, it involves the extreme pressure some men may feel to act in a way that is actually harmful. There are so many definitions of toxic masculinity that appear in research as well as pop culture, but some researchers have come to agree that toxic masculinity has three core components, and I want you to listen and understand these three core components of toxic masculinity. And one of the components is toughness. This is the notion that men should be physically strong, emotionally callous, and behaviorally aggressive. Number two is anti-femininity. This involves the idea that men should reject anything that is considered to be feminine, such as showing emotion and even accepting help. And number three is power. This is the assumption that men must work toward obtaining power and status, which is both socially and financially, so they can gain the respect of others. Toxic masculinity also glorifies unhealthy habits. It's the notion that self-care is for women and men should treat their bodies like machines by skipping on sleep, working out even when they are injured, and pushing themselves to their physical limits. In addition to pushing themselves hard physically, toxic masculinity also discourages men from seeing doctors. A study was done, and the outcome was that men who held the strongest belief about masculinity were only half as likely as men with more moderate beliefs about masculinity to get preventative health care. Seeing a physician for annual physical, for example, runs contrary to some men's belief about toughness. In addition also to avoiding preventative treatment, toxic masculinity also encourages unhealthy behavior. Another study also found out that more men conformed to masculine norm, the more likely they were to engage in risky behavior such as drinking heavily, using tobacco, and avoiding vegetables. In addition, also they were more likely to view such risky choices as being normal. What is the role, or what is the stigma when it comes to mental health in line with toxic masculinity? When someone is inclined to toxic masculinity, they are discouraged, or the whole idea discourages men from getting mental health treatment, and things like depression, anxiety, substance use issues, and mental health problems may be viewed as weaknesses. Another study that was done in the United States found that men who bought into traditional notions of masculinity held more of a negative attitude about seeking mental health services compared to those with the flexible gender attitude. Toxic masculinity may also stress that it's inappropriate for men to talk about their feelings. Avoiding conversations about problems or emotions may increase feelings of isolation and loneliness. And that is why last week we were asking whether men are given the safe space to express themselves, or it is the men who have a problem when it comes to expressing themselves. It may also reduce men's willingness to reach out and get help when they are experiencing a mental health issue. So that is also to echo forth what we were saying last week about creating a safe space for men to express themselves, and also to open up about their feelings and talk about how they are feeling, whether they feel like they are appreciated enough, whether they feel like they are given the respect and also the attention that they crave for. Something else I want us to talk about is the helping behavior. You see, men who view themselves as more masculine are less likely to engage in what researchers call helping behavior. That means they are not likely to intervene when they witness bullying or when they see someone being assaulted. A case done in 2019 found that toxic masculinity can prevent men from consoling a victim, calling for help, and standing up to the perpetrator. Men who endorsed the belief that men should be strong and aggressive were more likely to perceive negative social consequences associated with intervening as an active standby. In instances of sexual assault, for example, men who identified the most with masculine behaviors were less likely to stop the assault. The study found that men wouldn't intervene in any conflict if they thought their reputation as being traditionally masculine might be compromised. Unfortunately, there are some of the examples of toxic masculinity that are in relationship, schools, workplaces, and there are some of them that I would like to just highlight because these are some of the everyday examples. One of them is when a boy in school doesn't act in traditionally masculine ways and he's bullied by the boys and in his class, boys in his class, and for being too feminine. Another thing is that when a boy cries and his father tells him to toughen up, or that men do not cry, and this is a problem especially to our generation, like whereby whatever you're going through, men who are around you do not give you that space to express yourself and just pour those emotions out. Another thing is that when a man tells his partner what they can and cannot wear and who they are and are not allowed to spend time with, that is another thing. Toxic masculinity in relationship. Evident when a man is afraid to be emotionally vulnerable with his partner for fear of seeming weak. When a man who is struggling with his mental health doesn't want to see a therapist because he should man up or power through it. And those are just a few of the examples that we go through, or we hear some of the experiences we hear in our day-to-day activities. And this is my word to each and everyone who is going through or who is experiencing some negative effect of toxic masculinity. Reach out to someone. A mental health profession can help you recognize how it's affecting your life and help you break free from the unhealthy patterns that may keep you stuck. The more people learn about toxic masculinity and the more people get help for it, the more likely we are to see changes on the bigger level, as society may put less pressure on men to act a certain way. And now I'm inviting you as well to share your experiences, how you have experienced toxic masculinity, what you know about toxic masculinity. Have you had instances in your relationship where there was an expression, or there was that evident of toxic masculinity? I mean, this is a safe space. let's keep the conversation on. Tell me about your experience. How was it? How did you identify it? I mean, anything you know or you've heard about toxic masculinity, what are your thoughts? We are open to have this conversation, and I believe we're going to help as many people as possible. Thank you so much for your time. This is Kanoda Gatwa. Keep on following us for more content. Keep your comments and your suggestion coming through, and we really appreciate, and we're gonna go through them one by one. Thank you so much for your time. Until next time, adios.